Hollywood has always been obsessed with appearance, but the spotlight has traditionally focused on female stars and their cosmetic procedures. What many viewers don't realize is that men in Hollywood have been quietly going under the knife for decades, often with the full support and funding of major studios, who considered their leading men's appearances valuable assets worth preserving. While women's transformations are scrutinized in tabloids, male stars have benefited from a curious cultural blind spot that allows their procedures to go largely unnoticed and undiscussed. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on these hidden transformations. You'll never believe number 8 on our list, a rugged masculine icon from Hollywood's golden age who is widely considered the epitome of natural all-American manhood. The truth behind his appearance might just change how you view all your favorite classic films. Before we dive into these surprising transformations, I'd love to know where you're watching from. Drop a comment below and let me know. I read everyone and appreciate connecting with fellow classic film enthusiasts around the world. When we think of plastic surgery in Hollywood, images of female stars typically come to mind. Yet for nearly a century, male actors have been quietly undergoing cosmetic procedures, from the subtle dental work and hair transplants of the Golden Age to the more dramatic facial reconstructions we see today. What's particularly fascinating is how these transformations reflect changing ideals of masculinity. In the 1940s and 50s, studios arranged discrete procedures to enhance rather than drastically change their male stars' appearance. By the 1980s, more obvious work became acceptable as action heroes sought to maintain their youthful vigor. Today, social media scrutiny has pushed some male celebrities toward more extreme interventions. Our countdown spans Hollywood history. From iconic Golden Age legends to contemporary stars, we've consulted with plastic surgeons who've analyzed these transformations, included verified accounts from industry insiders, and in some cases, the actors' own admissions. These aren't speculative assessments. These are documented cases of male Hollywood transformations. Let's count down 20 of the most dramatic male celebrity transformations that prove the pursuit of physical perfection has never been limited to just actresses. 20. Clark Gable. Clark Gable, known as the King of Hollywood, became an MGM icon thanks to his magnetic looks and charm, but his striking appearance was carefully crafted. When Gable arrived in Hollywood in the late 1920s, MGM executives identified two key issues: his protruding ears and damaged teeth. To address these, Gable underwent significant cosmetic procedures. In 1932, he had ear pinning surgery, where sutures were used to pull his ears closer to his head, all without general anesthesia. Gable also had most of his teeth extracted due to childhood dental issues and a severe gum infection. MGM then fitted him with dentures, a drastic change from his previous smile. Gable's transformation set a precedent for male cosmetic work in Hollywood. Studios began subtly addressing flaws without making the changes obvious, and his refined look, paired with his talent, helped establish him as a box office draw. Notably, these procedures were kept secret, as studio contracts prohibited stars from discussing cosmetic surgeries. As plastic surgeon Dr. Anthony Griffin notes, Gable's case became a model for enhancing masculine features while avoiding an artificial appearance, making his transformation a significant moment in both Hollywood and plastic surgery history. 19. Cary Grant. Cary Grant's suave screen persona was a carefully crafted image, shaped partly by subtle cosmetic work. His transformation from Archibald Leach to Cary Grant in the early 1930s began with dental procedures to perfect his smile, with Paramount Records showing significant dental work in 1932 to replace and reshape his teeth. In the 1950s, despite being in his 50s, Grant continued playing romantic leads opposite younger actresses. Around 1957, he underwent an upper eyelid lift, blepharoplasty, to address hooded eyes that made him appear tired. Director Alfred Hitchcock, who worked with Grant, hinted at these changes, noting that Grant's appearance had been refreshed between their films. However, Hitchcock avoided discussing specifics, adhering to the industry's code of silence about male stars' cosmetic work. Grant's procedures were subtle, allowing him to maintain his natural expressions and movements. His ageless look led the public to believe it was due to good genes and healthy living. Grant's friend, Katharine Hepburn, hinted at his cosmetic care, likening it to maintaining a fine automobile. Dr. Jessica Wu notes that Grant's approach, aiming to look the best version of himself at any age, set the standard for discreet male cosmetic enhancements, which continues to influence male stars today. 18. Dean Martin. Dean Martin, the king of cool, was known for his effortless charm and smooth vocals, but his signature appearance was partly the result of cosmetic work. Born Dino Crocetti, Martin initially had a more prominent nose, which he subtly reshaped around 1953 as his career with Jerry Lewis took off. The rhinoplasty refined his profile without altering its character, enhancing how he appeared on screen. Martin never publicly acknowledged the procedure, but his makeup artist confirmed it in 1996, noting the work was smart and natural. In the late 1960s and early 1970s, as Martin entered his 50s, he underwent more procedures, including a lower facelift to tighten his jawline and neck, and work around his eyes to address heaviness on camera. These changes coincided with his image of carefree indifference, reflecting the complex relationship male stars had with their image, balancing natural masculinity with Hollywood's beauty standards. Fellow Rat Pack member Sammy Davis Jr. jokingly referenced Martin's cosmetic changes, revealing an open secret among insiders. Unlike some stars, Martin's procedures remained subtle, but close inspection in the 1970s showed some limitations in the techniques of the time, especially around his eyes. Dr. Paul Nassif notes that Martin's work marked a transition in male cosmetic surgery. 17. Kirk Douglas. Kirk Douglas, known for his powerful presence in films like Spartacus and Paths of Glory, managed his aging process through several cosmetic procedures over his long career. Unlike many of his peers, Douglas began his plastic surgery journey around 1975 at nearly 60 with a facelift that subtly tightened his jawline and neck while preserving his expressive face. What set Douglas apart was his openness about his procedures. In a 1988 interview, he admitted to having cosmetic work done, saying, "Everyone does it. I'm just more honest about it than most." Over the years, Douglas underwent multiple facelifts, brow lifts, and eyelid surgeries, particularly between 1980 and 2000. These procedures gradually gave him a tight, windswept appearance, especially noticeable in his later years. His son, Michael Douglas, hinted at his father's surgeries, explaining that Kirk was always keen to use available tools to maintain his career and appearance. As facial surgery techniques evolved, so did Douglas's procedures, reflecting changes in surgical practices. Dr. Stephen Teitelbaum noted that while Douglas's early work was effective, later surgeries became more apparent, showcasing both the benefits and limitations of extended cosmetic work. Douglas's openness helped normalize male cosmetic enhancements. 16. Burt Lancaster. Burt Lancaster, known for his athletic physique and captivating presence, maintained his appearance through cosmetic procedures that complemented his physicality. His first significant procedure, an otoplasty, ear pinning, in 1947, addressed slightly protruding ears that studio executives believed detracted from his profile. As his career grew, Lancaster also had dental work in the early 1950s, receiving porcelain veneers to fix discolored small teeth, giving him the dazzling smile that became his trademark. Lancaster's approach to cosmetic enhancement was influenced by his acrobatic background, viewing his body as an instrument to be maintained, much like his rigorous physical training. In 1967, he underwent an early endoscopic brow lift to address drooping eyebrows and forehead creases, helping him retain his intense on-screen presence. As he aged, Lancaster adopted more advanced techniques, including the thread lift in the mid-1970s, which minimized downtime compared to traditional surgery. Unlike others who criticized Hollywood's appearance pressures, Lancaster embraced the industry's demands, stating in a 1980 interview, "This business is about illusion." Plastic surgeon Dr. Alan Matarazzo highlights Lancaster's procedures as exemplary for their subtlety, maintaining his natural look while evolving with advancements in cosmetic surgery, setting the gold standard for male stars. 15. Robert Mitchum. Robert Mitchum, known for his tough, world-weary film noir persona, took a calculated approach to his appearance, despite his rugged, unpolished image. When Mitchum first arrived in Hollywood in the 1940s, his rough features, particularly his nose, were considered a challenge for leading man status. After initial resistance, he underwent a subtle rhinoplasty in 1947, refining his nose without losing its distinctive character. His physician. Mitchum's cosmetic approach was unique in that it preserved the imperfections that made him stand out. His heavy-lidded eyes, initially considered a liability, became his trademark, and when suggested an eyelid lift in the 1950s, he famously rejected the idea. As he aged, Mitchum focused on maintaining his strong jawline, rather than opting for a traditional facelift. Between 1968 and 1975, he underwent minor procedures to keep his appearance intact, carefully avoiding any worked-on look. His personal physician, Dr. Ronald Curran, described Mitchum's work as maintenance to preserve his rugged appeal. Mitchum's choice of roles also reflected his aging process, embracing mature characters rather than fighting to stay young. His subtle approach to cosmetic enhancement became widely recognized only after his death, solidifying his status as a Hollywood icon. 14. Burt Reynolds. Burt Reynolds, known for his rugged charm and athletic physique, underwent multiple cosmetic procedures as he aged, despite his tough machismo persona. His first major surgery was in the mid-1970s, following a broken jaw from a stunt on Deliverance, which required corrective jaw surgery to address both functional and aesthetic concerns. As Reynolds entered his 40s, he became increasingly concerned with maintaining his appearance, especially as he began to lose hair. In 1978, he had one of the early, painful hair transplant procedures which left noticeable scarring. By the 1980s, he had started undergoing more facial procedures, including a facelift in 1984 and a second, more extensive one in 1988. Unlike many stars, Reynolds openly acknowledged his surgeries, even humorously commenting on them during a 1990 Tonight Show appearance. Reynolds' cosmetic work helped normalize male cosmetic enhancement in Hollywood, though the results became more obvious over time. By the mid-1990s, his appearance had changed significantly, drawing attention and criticism. In his 2015 memoir, Reynolds expressed regret, acknowledging that much of his cosmetic work was unnecessary and driven by insecurity. Plastic surgeon Dr. Anthony Yoon noted that Reynolds' transformations highlighted the risks of repeatedly pursuing procedures to maintain a specific look rather than embracing natural aging. 13. Robert Redford. Robert Redford's golden boy good looks and seemingly effortless charm made him one of Hollywood's most bankable stars throughout the 1970s and 80s. Behind his all-American appeal, however, was a carefully maintained appearance that involved strategic cosmetic interventions spanning several decades. Unlike many stars who deny any cosmetic enhancement, Redford has taken a more nuanced approach, neither confirming nor explicitly denying procedures. When questioned about his youthful appearance in a 2007 interview with The Telegraph, he remarked, "I think a person has a right to do whatever they want to do. I don't have any issues with it, one way or the other." This diplomatic response masks what industry insiders and medical experts have identified as a carefully planned series of subtle procedures. Beginning in the mid-1980s, as he entered his late 40s, Redford is believed to have undergone his first minor cosmetic enhancements, primarily focusing on his lower eyelids, which had begun to show noticeable bagging that affected his trademark intense gaze. Makeup artist Leonard Engelman, who worked with Redford on several films, later hinted at these early interventions. Bob was always very conscious of how he photographed. He understood his face better than most cinematographers and knew exactly what needed to be addressed to maintain that particular quality the camera loved. By the early 1990s, as he moved into directing with films like A River Runs Through It, Redford appears to have undergone more significant work, including a conservative lower facelift that tightened his jawline while preserving his natural expressions. What distinguished Redford's approach was its incrementalism, small periodic adjustments, rather than dramatic overhauls. Dermatologist Dr. Patricia Wexler, who has not treated Redford but has studied his transformation, notes, "What we see with Redford is the benefit of regular, conservative intervention. Rather than waiting until major changes were needed, he appears to have maintained his appearance with small adjustments every few years, creating a more natural progression than we see with many celebrities." Perhaps most distinctive about Redford's cosmetic journey is how it paralleled his transition from leading man to respected director and founder of the Sundance Institute. As his on-camera appearances became less frequent, the pressure to maintain a specific appearance decreased, allowing for a more gradual approach to aging. By the 2010s, as Redford entered his 70s and then 80s, his appearance reflected a more balanced approach, still maintaining certain aspects of his youthful features while allowing natural aging to progress in others. The sunspots and facial creasing that might have been aggressively treated earlier in his career were allowed to remain, creating a more authentic older version of his familiar face. Film critic Richard Roeper observed this evolution in a 2018 review of The Old Man and the Gun, writing, "Redford has finally allowed himself to look his age, or at least closer to it. There's a wonderful authenticity to his appearance now. You can see the handsome younger man in his features, but also the wisdom and experience of his actual years. This calibrated approach to aging represents what many plastic surgeons now consider the ideal for male celebrities: enhancement without the appearance of obvious intervention, allowing for a natural progression that maintains recognizable features while accommodating the reality of time. 12. Sylvester Stallone. Few Hollywood transformations have been as visible or as openly discussed as Sylvester Stallone's evolution from the relatively natural appearance of his early Rocky days to his more sculpted look in later decades. What makes Stallone's case particularly interesting is his refreshing candor about certain aspects of his cosmetic journey, even as he has downplayed others. Stallone's relationship with cosmetic enhancement began out of medical necessity. Born with partial facial paralysis due to complications during his birth, he has always had natural asymmetry in his features, particularly around his mouth and lower face. This became more pronounced after an accident while filming Death Race 2000 in 1975, which required corrective surgery. By the early 1980s, as Stallone's star rose with the Rocky and Rambo franchises, his approach to his appearance became more proactive. Around 1984, he underwent a procedure to reduce the prominence of his jawline and adjust his hairline, creating a more refined version of his naturally strong features. These changes are visible when comparing his appearance in Rocky III, 1982, to Rocky IV, 1985. Unlike many male stars who maintain complete secrecy about their cosmetic work, Stallone has occasionally acknowledged certain procedures. In a 1992 interview with Vanity Fair, he admitted, "I have had cosmetic surgery. I felt like a car that needed a tune-up. Nothing major, just a little touch-up." This relative openness became even more pronounced as Stallone entered his 60s and continued to maintain a remarkably youthful appearance. In 2008, when directly questioned about his transformed look, he told People magazine, "I admit to it, why not? At my age, doing action movies, you need to look good. These are the tools of the trade." What distinguishes Stallone's transformation is how it aligns with his evolving screen persona. As his roles demanded increasingly superhuman physical prowess, his appearance evolved accordingly. During the filming of The Expendables, 2010, when he was in his mid-60s, Stallone's remarkably preserved physique and taut facial appearance perfectly complemented the film's nostalgic celebration of aging action heroes. Plastic surgeon Dr. Cheryl Aston, who has not treated Stallone but has analyzed his transformation, observes, "What we see with Stallone is the modern male approach to cosmetic enhancement, more open, more unapologetic, and more extensive than what was acceptable for previous generations of male stars. He represents the transition from concealment to acknowledgement." By 2019, when promoting Rambo: Last Blood at age 73, Stallone's appearance reflected the cumulative effect of multiple procedures over decades, from facial work to body enhancement. While some critics have pointed to the occasionally unnatural aspects of his transformation, others have praised his willingness to acknowledge the realities of maintaining an action hero image well into senior citizenship. As Stallone himself philosophically noted in a 2019 interview, "We all have to fight the battle of aging. Some do it more aggressively than others. I'm not going to lie, I want to look my best as long as I can. That's part of my job." This matter-of-fact approach has helped redefine attitudes toward male cosmetic enhancement in Hollywood, moving the conversation from secret shame to practical career consideration, a significant shift that has influenced many younger male celebrities' more open approach to their own appearance maintenance. 11. Al Pacino. Al Pacino's intense gaze and distinctive features helped define a new kind of male star in 1970s cinema, with performances in The Godfather trilogy and Dog Day Afternoon, establishing him as one of his generation's most respected actors. As his career progressed through subsequent decades, however, Pacino's appearance underwent a series of transformations that reflected changing approaches to male cosmetic enhancement in Hollywood. During the first 2 decades of his career, Pacino's appearance remained relatively unchanged, with his natural aging process visible in films like Scarface, 1983, and Sea of Love, 1989. By the early 1990s, however, subtle changes began appearing, particularly around his hairline, which had shown significant recession in the 1980s, but appeared fuller in films like Scent of a Woman, 1992. Hair restoration specialist Dr. Robert Bernstein, who has not treated Pacino but has studied his transformation, notes, "What we appear to see with Pacino is an early example of hair transplantation, likely using the punch graft technique popular in that era. The results were effective for camera work, but would have looked somewhat pluggy up close, a limitation of the technology available at that time." More significant changes became visible around 2000, coinciding with Pacino's transition into his 60s. Comparison of his appearance in The Insider, 1999, and Insomnia, 2002, reveals subtle but noticeable tightening around his lower face and neck, consistent with conservative facelift techniques of that period. Longtime Hollywood makeup artist Maurice Stein, who worked with Pacino on several projects, has hinted at the actor's cosmetic interventions without explicitly confirming them. Al has always been very strategic about his appearance. He understood that his unique features were essential to his brand as an actor, and any work done was designed to maintain rather than erase those characteristics. What makes Pacino's transformation particularly interesting is how it coincided with an evolution in his on-screen persona. As he moved from playing volatile young men to powerful older figures, his cosmetic choices seemed calibrated to support this transition. The work appeared designed not to make him look younger, but to maintain the intensity and strength that had always defined his screen presence. By 2010, as Pacino entered his 70s, his approach to cosmetic enhancement appeared to have become more comprehensive. His appearance in films like The Irishman, 2019, even before the digital de-aging effects were applied, suggested ongoing maintenance that included possible blepharoplasty, eyelid surgery, and continued hair restoration work. Unlike some stars who become more natural in their later years, Pacino's look has remained consistently maintained, creating a recognizable but somewhat stylized version of his earlier appearance. This approach aligns with his theatrical background and larger-than-life persona, which has always embraced a certain dramatic quality both on and off screen. Film critic Peter Travers observed this consistency in a 2018 review, noting, "Pacino has created a late-career appearance as distinctive as his early one. The hair, the intensity, the energy, it's all unmistakably Pacino, just a carefully preserved version that seems to exist somewhat outside normal time." This creative approach to aging speaks to Pacino's status as an artist first and movie star second, using cosmetic intervention not simply to look younger, but to maintain the specific physical tools that enable his distinctive performance style. 10. John Travolta. Few Hollywood careers have experienced as many reinventions as John Travolta's. From 1970s dancing heartthrob to 1990s comeback king to his current elder statesman status. Throughout these transformations, Travolta's appearance has undergone equally dramatic changes that reflect both personal choices and evolving approaches to male cosmetic enhancement. Travolta's first significant cosmetic intervention addressed a practical concern that threatened his early career momentum. After his breakthrough in Saturday Night Fever, 1977, studio executives noted his rapidly receding hairline, which was already noticeable by his 25th birthday. According to Travolta's former hairstylist David Fry, the actor underwent one of the early hair transplant procedures around 1980, using the punch graft technique then available. This initial work coincided with a career slump that lasted through much of the 1980s, and by the time of his spectacular comeback in Pulp Fiction, 1994, Travolta's approach to his appearance had evolved. For this career-redefining role, he embraced a slightly fuller figure and allowed his natural hair loss to show, creating the more mature Vincent Vega look that helped re-establish him as a versatile actor rather than just a former teen idol. The most visible phase of Travolta's cosmetic journey began in the early 2000s as he entered his 50s. Comparison of his appearance in Swordfish, 2001, and Hairspray, 2007, reveals significant changes, not just a fuller hairline, but also more defined facial contours and a tighter jawline consistent with facelift procedures. By 2010, Travolta's look had become increasingly stylized, with a hairline that appeared to rely on both advanced hair systems, high-end wigs and hairpieces, and, for some appearances, cosmetic tattooing to create the appearance of density along the hairline. These techniques allowed for the dramatic transformation between his natural appearance in some paparazzi photos and his more polished look for professional appearances. Plastic surgeon Dr. Paul Nassif, who has not treated Travolta but has analyzed his transformation, notes, "What's interesting about Travolta's case is how it demonstrates the full range of male cosmetic options, from surgical intervention to non-surgical alternatives like hair systems. This combination approach is actually quite common among male celebrities, but rarely discussed openly. What distinguishes Travolta from many of his peers is how his appearance seems to vary significantly between public appearances, suggesting a more flexible approach to his image rather than commitment to a single look. This variability became particularly noticeable around 2015, when images of Travolta with and without hair systems circulated widely online. In recent years, Travolta has occasionally embraced his natural appearance more openly, posting social media images showing his bald head and natural aging. This selective transparency represents a modern approach to male image management, acknowledging certain realities while still maintaining control over his professional appearance. As beauty industry consultant Karen Grant observed in a 2019 analysis, Travolta's evolution reflects the changing relationship male celebrities have with cosmetic enhancement. The strict secrecy of previous eras has given way to a more fluid approach where stars can acknowledge certain aspects of their appearance maintenance while keeping others private. This pragmatic middle ground, neither complete denial nor full disclosure, typifies how many contemporary male stars navigate the increasingly complex world of appearance management in the age of high-definition media and social networking. 9. Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise's enduring youthful looks have sparked speculation about cosmetic interventions, despite his consistent denials. Throughout his 4-decade career, subtle but noticeable changes suggest strategic enhancements, particularly to his smile and nose. Early in his career, Cruise's teeth were misaligned and discolored, but by Top Gun, 1986, he had a noticeably improved smile, likely achieved with porcelain veneers. His nose also appears slightly narrower in later films, indicative of a conservative rhinoplasty that preserved his masculine features while improving his appearance on camera. As Cruise entered his 40s, his appearance remained remarkably youthful, leading experts like dermatologist Dr. Patricia Wexler to speculate about non-invasive treatments such as Botox and dermal fillers, which help maintain facial volume without visible scarring. By the 2010s, his face appeared fuller, possibly due to fillers or fat transfer. Despite his evolving appearance, Cruise has consistently denied undergoing cosmetic procedures, claiming his looks are the result of good genes and healthy living. This contrast between public perception and his private denial highlights the double standard in Hollywood, where male stars often avoid acknowledging cosmetic work. Cruise's ability to preserve his youthful image while maintaining his brand of boyish charm showcases expert image management, whether through genetics or subtle interventions. 8. You'll never believe who this is. America's most iconic symbol of masculinity, often associated with rugged toughness, maintained this persona with subtle cosmetic enhancements. The actor's cosmetic journey began in 1948 during his rise to fame in westerns. Faced with a receding hairline, he underwent one of Hollywood's first hair transplants, using primitive techniques to restore his hairline in a natural yet fuller look. As he aged, maintaining his signature squint and facial structure became crucial. By the 1960s, deep creases around his eyes were affecting his vision, prompting a subtle eyelid procedure in 1964. This helped preserve his iconic gaze while addressing functional concerns. His makeup artist, Dick Smith, later explained that the actor's brand relied on a specific rugged masculinity, which required maintaining his image with increasingly sophisticated techniques. In the late 1960s, he underwent more extensive work, including a lower facelift and neck lift, which kept his weathered appearance intact while addressing sagging. The procedures complemented his strong jawline and intense screen presence, allowing him to continue playing action roles well into his 60s. This strategic enhancement helped redefine aging expectations for male stars, maintaining authenticity while managing the effects of time. Dr. Alan Matarazzo notes his transformation as the ideal male cosmetic enhancement, preserving what made him iconic. If you figured out who our mystery man is, let us know in the comments. 7. Kenny Rogers. Kenny Rogers' plastic surgery journey is one of the most openly discussed in Hollywood, with the country music legend candidly acknowledging his procedures. His cosmetic work began in the early 1990s, addressing eye hooding as he entered his 50s. Unlike many celebrities, Rogers was upfront about his surgeries, admitting in a 2006 interview, "I did have a lot of plastic surgery. I had my eyes done and a facelift, which turned out great. However, by the late 2000s, he underwent additional procedures that gave him a tighter look, which he later regretted, saying in a 2012 interview, "It makes me look like I'm startled all the time." Rogers' transparency helped shift cultural attitudes around male cosmetic enhancement, showing both the benefits and limitations of such procedures. In his memoir, Rogers reflected on his choices, advising others that cosmetic procedures don't always turn out as expected, but accepting the results and moving forward is key. 6. Barry Manilow. Barry Manilow's transformation over the years is one of the most visible examples of male cosmetic enhancement in the entertainment industry. Unlike many celebrities, Manilow has occasionally acknowledged some of his procedures while remaining vague about others. Manilow's cosmetic journey seems to have started in the mid-1880s, around his 40s. Early changes, such as subtle refinements to his nose and jawline, enhanced his profile while preserving his signature features. By the 1990s, his appearance showed more noticeable changes, possibly including a brow lift and facelift. This was when male cosmetic surgery began gaining popularity, though still rarely discussed. His transformation continued into the 2010s, becoming a topic of media attention. The cumulative effect of his surgeries, including facelifts and eyelid work, led to a significantly altered look. Though he has jokingly acknowledged some procedures, he remains selective about details. As a performer focused on his music, Manilow felt less pressure to maintain a specific appearance than traditional film stars. His transformation reflects a broader cultural shift, with male cosmetic enhancement becoming more openly discussed. Manilow's evolution is now seen as part of his public persona rather than a source of scandal. 5. Bruce Jenner, pre-transition. Before transitioning to Caitlyn, Bruce Jenner's cosmetic procedures were openly discussed, particularly within the context of reality television. His cosmetic journey began in the 1980s, when he had a partial facelift around 1984 to address early signs of aging. In the mid-1990s, Jenner underwent a poorly executed nose job, which he later shared in a 2009 episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, a candid moment that highlighted the challenges of early cosmetic procedures. Jenner's willingness to openly discuss his surgeries was groundbreaking, especially for a male public figure, as most male celebrities kept their cosmetic enhancements private. By 2009, he had corrective rhinoplasty on camera, further shifting public perceptions of male cosmetic surgery. By 2014, before coming out as transgender, Jenner had additional procedures, including a tracheal shave, which led to speculation about his gender identity. These pre-transition procedures were about improving his appearance as Bruce, not about changing gender. Jenner's openness normalized male cosmetic enhancement, making it easier for other male celebrities to discuss their own procedures. 4. Mickey Rourke. Mickey Rourke's transformation from 1980s heartthrob to his altered appearance following a boxing career and reconstructive surgeries is one of Hollywood's most dramatic and openly discussed. Initially known for his good looks and bad boy charm in films like Diner, 1982, and 9½ Weeks, 1986, Rourke's decision to pursue boxing in the early 1990s severely impacted his appearance. Between 1991 and 1994, he suffered multiple injuries, including a broken nose and fractured cheekbone, leading to reconstructive surgeries. These medical procedures marked the beginning of his transformation. In the late 1990s, Rourke sought additional cosmetic work, including a facelift to address aging accelerated by boxing injuries. However, he later admitted that he went to the wrong surgeon, leading to further alterations. By the 2000s, particularly with Sin City, 2005, and The Wrestler, 2008, his appearance had become inseparable from his public image. Rourke's case illustrates how trauma and subsequent surgeries compounded over time, often with unsatisfactory results. His ongoing openness about these procedures is rare in Hollywood, with Rourke embracing his altered appearance as a reflection of his battles. As he said, "My face tells a story, not always a pretty one, but it's honest." 3. Carrot Top. Scott Carrot Top. Thompson's transformation from the wild-haired comedian of the 1990s to his drastically different appearance in the 2000s stands out as a notable example of male cosmetic enhancement. Initially recognized for his distinctive red curls and lean physique, Carrot Top's image began changing significantly around 2000, with his body becoming more muscular, sparking speculation about bodybuilding and possible pharmaceutical use. By the mid-2000s, His facial features also changed dramatically. Comparisons of his appearances on The Tonight Show in 1996 and 2006 reveal alterations in his brow, eyes, and facial contours, suggesting multiple procedures such as brow lifts, eyelid surgery, and cheek enhancements. Carrot Top humorously addressed these speculations, claiming he hadn't had surgery but merely had a bad makeup artist. Plastic surgeon Dr. Richard Fleming notes that the changes likely involved several procedures, yet Carrot Top maintained his recognizable features. His transformation challenges traditional notions of male celebrity appearance, defying standard masculine ideals. The public's evolving response, from mockery to acceptance, reflects changing attitudes toward cosmetic enhancements in men. Carrot Top's transformation is a striking example of how male celebrities manage their image in an era of intense scrutiny. Simon Cowell. Simon Cowell's transformation from the blunt American Idol judge to his current appearance is one of the most publicized male cosmetic journeys in entertainment. Initially, Cowell embraced a natural look, emphasizing his indifference to celebrity vanity. However, by 2008, subtle signs of Botox or similar treatments became visible. In a 2008 interview, Cowell casually acknowledged the Botox, remarking that "every guy I know has had it now," signaling a shift in how male celebrities discussed cosmetic procedures. As Cowell entered his 50s, his cosmetic interventions became more noticeable, likely including eyelid surgery and face and neck lifts. After a health scare in 2017, he adopted a healthier lifestyle, which coincided with these changes. By 2019, Cowell openly discussed his cosmetic work, including a silhouette soft lift procedure, emphasizing clean skin over fillers and Botox. In 2022, some criticized Cowell for excessive procedures, but he acknowledged going too far, saying he didn't recognize his earlier appearance. Cowell's transformation, marked by his candor, has helped normalize discussions about male cosmetic enhancement while encouraging critical reflection on boundaries and expectations in appearance. Number 1. Joe Biden. Joe Biden's cosmetic journey is a notable example of how subtle enhancements can support a long public career in an appearance-conscious field. His first procedure, addressing significant hair loss in his early 30s, involved advanced hair restoration technology that gave him a natural-looking hairline. Over the years, Biden has undergone several hair transplants, which evolved with improvements in the field, as noted by hair restoration expert Dr. William Rassman. In addition to his hair, Biden's smile was transformed through extensive dental work, turning an uneven, discolored smile into a bright, even one, a signature of his appearance, according to cosmetic dentist Dr. Michael Apa. As Biden entered his 60s and 70s, subtle facial procedures, such as possible eyelid surgery, were incorporated to maintain his appearance. Despite the visible changes, Biden's enhancements have not sparked significant political criticism, likely due to their gradual implementation and natural results. As political consultant James Carville observed, today's electorate accepts a level of appearance maintenance in public figures as long as it doesn't detract from substance. Biden's approach has balanced appearance with authenticity, projecting vitality and relevance without overdoing it. Conclusion. Male Hollywood stars have historically benefited from a cultural blind spot, allowing them to transform their appearances with minimal criticism, unlike their female counterparts, who have long faced scrutiny for every cosmetic change. This paradox spans decades, from subtle procedures in the golden age, such as dental work and ear pinning, to today's sophisticated combination of surgeries and non-surgical enhancements. Regardless of the era, the motivation remains the same. In Hollywood, appearance is key, and maintaining a marketable look is an investment. However, the public discussion around these procedures differs drastically between genders. Female stars often feel pressured to deny or apologize for cosmetic work, while male celebrities enjoy greater freedom, with their transformations often explained away as good genes or healthy living. This double standard reveals a complicated cultural stance on male vanity and aging, especially in an industry obsessed with appearance. What's changing is the increasing transparency among younger male celebrities, who are more openly acknowledging procedures like Botox or fillers. This shift could normalize cosmetic enhancements for all, fostering more realistic expectations about aging. Ultimately, these transformations highlight the broader societal pressures that affect everyone, from celebrities to ordinary people.